Good evening, Miles, CMF Talk. Good to see how you doing. How you been? How you doing, too? Good evening, Professor Miles and the rest of the family. Funky brother, good to see you as well. How you doing? Thanks so much for retweeting the live show as well. Thanks so much to everyone that's retweeting the live show back to back. I'm getting notifications of likes and retweets. Thank you for that, everyone. Also, tonight we have a lot of interesting news to go through on this live show. Hi, Miles, the CMF. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good to see you again. Miles, how you been? I've been doing great. How you doing? How you doing, Frankie brother? How's things? Okay, what we'll do is while everybody tunes in one by one, we'll do a gist of essentially what we're going to be talking about on tonight's live show. So we do have a mixture of news to go from tonight's live show, which is revolving around. So the first news we're going to be going from tonight's live show is regarding Sam Altman and AI news to go through regarding universal basic income. Then we're going to be going through South Asia news regarding the tech giants going to Singapore regarding expanding into AI and how many companies are involved expanding into AI regarding Singapore. Then we're going to talk about Wall Street giants and how they're unveiling their plan to boost essentially the crypto space. Then we're going to be talking about Dan and his hedge fund company Pantera Capital and how he sees the largest investments can bring crypto to the world. And then we're going to be talking about the open sourceness of cryptocurrencies equivalent to CBDCs. And then we're going to be talking about tonight's live show regarding another Bitcoin earthquake in Hong Kong. And then we're going to be talking about tonight's live show regarding Trump and how Trump said he would bring in a crypto policy day one going into becoming the president of the United States. When he does, and if he does become the president of the United States, he said he will bring in the crypto regulations day one. And then we're going to talk about the Ripple CEO on tonight's live show as well and how he predicts the SEC is going to lose in the long term. And then we're going to be talking about the US Congress and how they're pushing for crypto regulatory. And then we're going to be talking about the CEO of Franklin Templeton and their speech recently. And then we're going to be talking, there's quite a bit to go through on tonight's live show. And then we're going to be talking about Brics and essentially Robert's opinion on how Brics is going to be launching essentially their own currency. And then on tonight's live show, we're also going to be talking about BlackRock and how BlackRock is essentially controlling Bitcoin in some sort of a way. And then we're going to move from that news to the Bank of America news, which is when this live show gets quite interesting as well, because the Bank of America news, I'm going to leave that to the end. But quite an interesting bit of news to go through. And then straight after that one, it's the last piece of news we'll be going from tonight's live show, which is the drastic fall is over. And Bitcoin is taking off slowly. And then we're going to be ending it like that. But yeah, the Bank of America news, when we get to, is quite an interesting one as well. But quite a lot of interesting news to go from tonight's live show. Mixture of news regarding crypto, AI, CBDC, and market timing and some data and money inflows. So, welcome to the CMF Live Show. If you are watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF Live Show, where we talk about how the world is evolving into a digital space. We talk about cryptocurrency, CBDCs, blockchain in general, and politics, because it all plays in together, and AI. We also do Q&As, which means if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And a disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So, before we do that, let's go to the comment section. Good to see you again, Miles. How you been? I've been doing great, Frankie brother. Good. I hope you all had a great day. Let's go tour. Hi, Miles, and all in the CMF. I'm sure there's another great evening on the live. Let's go. Come on, good to see you, brother. How you doing? So, first news on tonight's live show is from Sam Altman. Good evening, Miles, the CMF. Orphan, good to see you. How you doing? The first news on tonight's live show is regarding Sam Altman. So, Sam Altman thinks giving everyone a slice of ChatGPT could pay for universal basic income. So, OpenAI CEO and Tools for Humanity, Sam Altman, believes the progress being carved out by today's frontier artificial intelligence AI models could lead to a vast restructuring of the socioeconomics Altman recently unveiled a vision wherein treating a compute as a resource and asset could supplement monetary income as a means of providing a universal basic income, UBI, during a recent interview on the All In podcast. So Sam Altman, which is the founder of, or co-founder of OpenAI ChatGPT, essentially is talking about creating this system where this universal basic income system where everybody falls onto it and everybody gets paid out in some sort of a way through AI. While the interview touched on a number of subjects, it quickly turned into the dangers of AI and how humanity would cope with the threats of ranging from AI regarding human extinction to employment displacements. And on the former subjects, Sam Altman acknowledged that there could be a time when AI models were sufficiently capable of posing such threats. His solution is a global oversight board with the capacity to regulate the largest projects, thereby leaving startups relatively unfettered by potentially growing stifleness of laws. I think there will come a time in and not the super distant future where the frontier AI systems are capable of causing significant global harm. And for those kinds of systems, I would like to see some sort of an international agency that is looking at the most powerful systems and ensuring reasonable safety testings. Sam Altman assured that the AI in team with ChatGPT-4, OpenAI's current state-of-art production model, posed no significant threat to human lives. On the jobs front, Sam Altman is well known for advocating for UBI, Universal Basic Income. Aside from OpenAI, he also helms for the Tools for Humanity, a firm whose main product is the WorldCoin cryptocurrency, an identification essentially platform. WorldCoin is given to anyone willing to verify their humanity, after which holders receive a monthly token suspend. Yes, you can technically scan your eye and sell your data for some WorldCoin tokens if you wanted to. Speaking to the All-In team, Altman, he said the government poverty assistance programs as mostly ineffective and called for a simple, respectable approach of UBI, Universal Basic Income. I'm not a super fan of how the government has handled most policies designed to help poor people, and I kind of believe that if you could just give people money, they would make good decisions and the market would do its thing, is what he said word for word in the interview. He went on to the point that giving people money is not going to solve all problems, and adding to that, it's certainly not going to make people happy, but ventured that it might solve some problems and it might give people a better horizon with which to help themselves. As to why he's such an advocate for UBI, Universal Basic Income, Sam Altman, that he's basically said that him and his colleagues realized back in 2016, when they began taking AI seriously, that it could essentially have far-reaching effects. They began conducting studies and found that UBI showed promise, Universal Basic Income. Now Sam Altman believes that UBI program itself could be ripe for an upending. 2016 was a very long time ago. I wonder if the future looks something more like Universal Basic Compute than Universal Basic Income, and everybody gets a slice of ChatGPT 7 compute, and then you can use it. They can resell it, they can donate it, and somebody to use for cancer research. So, in Sam Altman's eyes, basically the same man that was the backbone of ChatGPT, OpenAI, and the same man that's the backbone of WorldCoin, he's talking on the lines of a universal basic income type of feature coming out of AI, but everybody has a piece of the pie when it comes to AI. So you're getting paid in some sort of a way, you could say, somewhere down the line, he's trying to create this type of scenario where if AI does take over your job, you can have a piece of the pie of AI. And if it does take over your job, you can still get paid from it when you're doing nothing. Sort of like a universal basic income is what he's talking about. It's an interesting venture he's going through. The next news we're going to be talking about tonight's lecture is if you do lose your job, you can still get some sort of a salary if you go for AI, the AI that took over your job. If you buy a share into it, essentially. Southeast Asia is turning into an AI hub as tech giants are rushing to the region, is the next news to go from tonight's live show. Before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section. So yeah, if you do lose your job to AI, in Sam Altman's eyes, you can technically just invest into the AI company that's taken over your job and have a piece of the pie. But in his eyes, ChatGPT will take over most jobs, so you can have a piece of the pie when it comes to ChatGPT 7. So he's basically said we're at ChatGPT 4 now. We get to ChatGPT 5 was still good. ChatGPT 6 was still good. ChatGPT 7 is when most people lose their jobs, is what he was indicating at. But yeah, before we go through the next news, it's this one. Let's go inside the comment section. So we were here. Peter, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles. Pure Evening, good to see you as well. Hello, Miles and CMF. Coin, good to see you as well. How you doing? George, hi, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing? What's up, brother Miles and CMF? How's the news today? Bullish? Well, the last news we're going to be... Actually, we have quite a bit of interesting news to go through today. And some of them are really bullish. But the last news is very bullish and interesting. But when we get to that one. Universe, Denise, good to see you as well. How you doing? Universal basic income will come into play when AI is going for all your jobs. Then you depending on the government. Basically is what it is. Yes. Can you send that link of that news? Yes, no problem. But I'll send it. I'll put it inside the group chat. I'll put it inside the CMF Telegram group. I'll send it to you if you want directly. Either way. So Southeast Asia is turning into an AI hub as tech giants are rushing to the region. Now, there's a reason I'm sharing this news because if these massive tech companies, and the list of companies that are right now going towards Southeast Asia are quite big, ginormous companies. I mean, some of them, Amazon is going there, Microsoft is going there, the list goes on, the amount of ginormous companies that are going towards Southeast Asia. But the reason I want to share you this news is because if they're going towards Southeast Asia to invest into these tech companies, most of the companies they're investing into are basically AI projects and some blockchain projects, then you might want to be looking into the essentially Southeast Asia projects like Singapore companies and projects that are coming out of Singapore because they could get fundings from Microsoft and Amazon by the looks of it. So, in the presence of technological developed countries like Japan and Taiwan in comparative close proximity, Southeast Asia has always been a foster child in the eyes of the big tech companies. But the scene has changed in recent years as the region is attracting big investments in the tech sector, especially artificial intelligence. Southeast Asia is becoming a tech breeding ground. There was a day where Silicon Valley was the tech breeding ground. In the past few months, some tech, essentially company heads, including CEOs of Nevada, Apple, and Microsoft, have visited multiple countries, made heavy investment pledges worth billions of dollars in digital infrastructure, and held meetings with the country leaders. In Singapore, last week, Amazon announced a $9 billion investment plan, and the whole filed with thousands of Singaporeans. Before that, Microsoft's Stellan Nadella was on a 3-country spree where he announced an investment of billions of dollars from the company to train citizens and build the infrastructure required for artificial intelligence advancements. The region, home to 675 million people, is attracting the highest tech investments in its history. For the construction of data centers, up to $60 billion will be invested in the region in the next few years by the world's largest tech companies. The attraction for tech giants and the young population, which is adapting a generative AI streaming services and e-commerce businesses. China and the US relations have always been tense, and both countries are turning more aggressive towards each other. With India's political scene is a bit of a complex situation, so tech companies are looking for other options, which is true. You see, I said this a while ago, and I'll read the rest of it as well, but I said this a long time ago. A while ago, I said this. I said India is playing a very, very tricky game. You see, India is playing the happy card with the BRICS nations, but it's also playing the happy card with the US. So India is playing China and is playing the US. And I said that's a very tricky game they're playing, and it will backfire at one point. And it did. Because you see, a lot of tech companies were, going out to India and trying to do investments in India. But then the majority of those tech companies are American companies. And America has very bad relations with China. India is a part of BRICS, but India likes to play the moral card with the US at the same time. And India did this for a while. India was essentially, buying oil, for example, from Russia and selling it back to Europe because the EU doesn't want to, buy oil or gas from Russia. So the EU essentially buys it through India. And where does India get it from? Russia. So India gets it for cheap from Russia, ups the price, and sells it back to the EU. If that makes any sort of logical sense. Please tell anyone if it does, because it really doesn't. And I said India's playing a very tricky game and it will backfire at one point. So what actually happened is that all of these American companies decided to have some business adventures in India, obviously, but they're doing their biggest investments in Singapore, in Japan, essentially, is what they're doing. So Southeast Asia presents a better alternative due to its young talent and pool and business-friendly approach with increasing incomes. And also the relationship ties between India and the US and China is a bit of an issue. A better choice in politically divided world. In a geopolitically tense world, countries like Malaysia and Singapore are neutral at large, which is true. Singapore is not really, the best friend of America. It's not really the best friend of China. They're pretty much in the middle. They're like Switzerland. So considering the ongoing conflicts between Ukraine and Russia and the disputes between China and the US, the calm and suitable environment of the region is now turning into an arena of conflicts between tech behemoths like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. They are all trying to leverage the talent and the resources of the region for their cloud and artificial intelligence initiatives, which will positively impact the region and the lives of its inhabitants. The government in the region have made improvements in infrastructure and education in the past few years, which in turn has prepared a growing workforce that can serve as a better alternative to China. The region can now provide a base for companies, global operations, IT infrastructures, and technology research. Where companies are looking to enhance their businesses by leveraging the region's potential, the population essentially has also become an emerging market for online services, PCs, and gadgets. According to estimates made by Google, the region will have $600 billion market for internet-based services by 2030. Apparently, Singapore is going to become a $600 billion market space by 2030 because of Microsoft, Google, and Apple. They're all going there, Singapore, for investments. Many tech firms have announced programs to train people, with Microsoft pledging a train of 2.5 million individuals in AI skills. The next 1.5 years, according to a consulting firm, Canary, the region has the potential to raise its economy by $1 trillion by 2030 due to the rapid adoption of AI growth. However, companies will have to navigate the cultural challenges and volatility in local currencies for which they seem ready. Now, just to also point out what India did regarding playing America and playing China at the same time, it's just business at the end of the day. Obviously, nobody could take it against India because, they were smart. They took advantage. So India did take advantage of the scenario of, Russia not being able to sell, gas and oil to the EU. So India became the middleman. India buys it from Russia and then sells it back to the EU for a higher price. Who wouldn't? So obviously, it's nothing against India in any sort of a way. It's just business at the end of the day, what India was doing, and they were smart to do that. They made some very good money for themselves doing that. But Singapore became the new location for all the investments now because India is a part of Brics. And I think that's why the American investment companies are distancing themselves slowly, a little bit from India. They're going towards Singapore because Singapore plays like Switzerland. It's very neutral. It doesn't have ties with Russia, it doesn't have ties with China, and they don't really care about anybody else. That's why they're all going there. Which means, the reason why I'm sharing this news, which means that any sort of AI projects that have any sort of decent partnerships in Singapore, they could be getting some sort of advancements from Apple, Google, and Amazon. Now, you might think, well, Apple's never going to invest into random AI projects. You'd be surprised. Apple is actually quite desperate to get into the AI field because the news came out that Apple is trying to make a partnership with Google and Microsoft on the sidelines so they can jump on this whole AI bandwagon because Apple realized nobody's really into this whole driverless cars, and that's why they dropped their entire driverless car project and essentially went towards the AI game because that's what essentially the majority of the money is going from all these behemoth tech companies. That's true. So Apple is actually doing side deals with Microsoft and Google, trying to stick into the AI game. So you'd be surprised. I think Apple is going to start making some investments in Singaporean AI companies as well, and some of those AI projects or blockchain projects in Singapore. So I'm not saying all the money is going to go towards those projects, but there are some projects based out of Singapore that could be receiving some good payments. Now, it's not just AI that they're going for. They're also going for other types of projects related to blockchain and AI. And definitely watch out for projects coming out of that place, coming out of Singapore. Now, the next news to go through is Wall Street. Wall Street giants unveil crypto plans to boost the international adoption. So next news we're going to be going through on tonight's live show. Before we do that, let's go inside the comment section. Here we go. So, can you send? Yes, no problem. FA, good to see you. Hello, CMF. How you doing? How you doing, FA? So you have to invest in what took your job in order to get a basic salary in CBDCs. Basically, Camel, yes. I was always a foster child. I can use your words, remember? Lol. No, I will not backfire because you've been playing the cards for years. Miles, all of them are together. Yeah, I know all of them are together. Woodhouse, good to see you. Why you're doing. Yeah, JP, yeah, of course, they're all together. They all sit at the same dinner table. You read the comments before you say them, that's why you laugh. Hello, Miles, CMF, Semper, good to see you. Why you doing. Remember 2030? Yes, I remember 2030. Lena, good to see you as well. Good evening. How you doing? By the way, everybody, this is all public information. If you want to go and read it, Miles is all business. Facts. Let's go. It is public information. Let's go, JP. Good to see you, brother. How you doing? Now, the next news on tonight's live show is this one. It's interesting that he knew I was going to laugh. JP knew I was going to laugh when I saw the comments because I was reading a bit late. But yeah. So now, Wall Street. Wall Street giants unveil crypto plans to boost institutional adoption. Renowned financial institutions, including, so I read some news a few nights ago on this live show regarding JP Morgan and some partners, expanding into, coming out of Wall Street, expanding and so on. But now there's a few more partners added to the list as well. So, renowned financial institutions, including JP Morgan, Citibank, US Bank, and Wells Fargo, are among the organizations that will test the upcoming regulated settlement network involving the common settlement of tokenized assets on a shared technology. According to the reports, payment giants Visa and MasterCard, before it was only MasterCard, now there's Visa, and before Wells Fargo wasn't there, now they are. And global financial messaging service SWIFT will also participate in the testing process. The innovation comes aimed growing concerns over the struggles of the US dollar, the universal settlement currency. In a recent report, the billionaire Tesla CEO Elon Musk warned that the greenback could collapse. In other words, the US dollar could collapse. Hence, efforts by the identified Wall Street giants to explore asset tokenizations, an idea that Citibank analysts predict could become a $5 trillion market space by 2030. Colin Butler, a global head of institutional capital at Polygon, considers the developing trend a signal for mass crypto adoption. He described it as a 5-year line for mass institutional adoption. He noted that adding the latest test is more important than earlier trials like JP Morgan's Onyx Private and Blockchain and Unified Ledger, a concept introduced by the Bank of International Settlements last year. Rendering his opinions on the ongoing developments, Raj, the executive vice president for blockchain and crypto for MasterCard, highlighted the importance of significant partnerships in blockchain exploration. According to him, it will be critical for public and private organizations to partner closely to explore how to apply blockchain solutions to solve real-world pain points and improve efficiency. Comments supports the statements by Larry Fink, BlackRock's chief executive, who described asset tokenizations as the next generation for markets. Larry Fink's statements aligns with the company's recent announcement that it has entered the second stage of its plan for crypto-based revolution in financial markets. BlackRock noted the revolution would involve launching a tokenized private entity equity. The next news to go from tonight's live show is from Dan. Dan has essentially the hedge fund Pantera Capital says the largest investment can bring crypto to the world. Is the next news to go from tonight's live show. Before we do that, is there any news on? Let's go inside the comment section. Miles, we're in business. We know the scoop. We know what the scoop is. Facts. Let's go, JP. So, hedge fund Pantera Capital says one project, which is the firm's largest ever, has the opportunity to bring crypto to the masses. So, Pantera Capital has essentially made a massive investment into a particular crypto project. And this particular crypto project is a project that I talked about a while ago inside the crypto space. And Pantera Capital, the hedge fund, the massive hedge fund, is betting big on this one. In a new post, Pantera CEO Dan Moorhead says that Toncoin, Ton, the layer one blockchain network originally designed by the messaging platform Telegram, has a major advantage over other projects in building a large community, which is facts. It really does, because Telegram has a ridiculous amount of users, and originally it was designed by Telegram and it's going to be used by Telegram and so on. So yes, they do have to start off with massive user base. 99, this is what he said, word for word. The CEO of Pantera said this, word for word. 99.999% of the blockchain projects are tech ideas trying to create a community from nothing. According to CoinMarketCap, there are more than 23,000 cryptocurrencies. That's a hard road for most. Telegram is a community integrating blockchain technology. That's just got to be easier. According to the statistics, Telegram has over 900 million monthly active users. 900 million monthly active users. Do you understand how the amount of potential Toncoin could have going, through the months and weeks and years is ridiculous. Given that Telegram has built-in crypto wallet, the hedge fund argues it has an advantage in the onboarding its large and already existing user base into the digital asset ecosystem, without the complicities of traditional self-custody wallets that include the use of seed phrases. Based in Dubai, Pantera also says that Telegram is largely free from the regulatory hurdles that digital asset projects faces in less than crypto-friendly jurisdictions like the United States. This is what he said also, word for word. What about the other top messengers? Telegram is the only major platform that is free of regulatory hurdles to incorporate Web3 for an open blockchain network, while Facebook Messenger attempted to incorporate crypto payments with Libra. They ultimately faced regulatory hurdles from the US that led to complete shutdown. WeChat has attempted to integrate CBDC payments of digital yuan, but the system is limited to scope and builders don't have the ability to create permissionless applications, which is true because you can't on CBDCs. We believe Telegram is positioned to bring crypto to the world because of its shared Web3 efforts and large distribution. Facts. Absolutely facts. Regarding Ton, I've said this multiple times. Ton, Ton, not Tron, Ton. Amazing project. Look, because the first reason is because it was designed by Telegram themselves, and then Telegram was just about to get sued by the SEC, get a Wells notice by the SEC, but Telegram dropped the program, the whole Ton program. They dropped it, and then they created a separate entity that carried on the project essentially, and then later on they announced a partnership. So it was loophole essentially, but they have 900 million users ready to use Ton, which means Ton is definitely going to be scaling up. And somebody asked me a question a while ago. Somebody said to me inside my own Telegram group, the CMF Telegram group, they said, is Ton, Ton, a competitor to Solana? Is Ton a competitor to Solana? I said, hell yes. Ton is definitely a competitor to Solana. 100%. 900 million users, active, ready to go. How could it not be a competitor to anybody? Honestly. 900 million users. It's a competitor to anyone. Forget Solana. TON. I've talked about this multiple times. TON. I talked about it when the project was absolutely nothing. I talked about it when they announced their Telegram partnership. I talked about it after that and after that and after that. And I'm talking about it again because it came up on the news with Pantera CEO talking about it and how that essentially that's going to be their biggest investment. A hedge fund. It's going to become massive. It's going to put Solana in his back pocket. I'm telling you right now, Ton would put Solana in their back pocket. Unless the US gets involved, and you know how that story goes if the SEC gets involved. So the next story, the next news to talk about tonight's live show is this: open source CBDCs aren't going to protect you from the government. Before we read that, let's go inside the comment section. Here we go. Evening, Miles and family. Hope all is well. Okay, Ian, let's go. How you doing? Guess who's behind it? Exactly. Thank you. Yep. Telegram has stolen a lot of money off people in crypto industry through scams, and I want somebody to come out and say that. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. But it's because regarding the Telegram scams, it's the people. We can't blame the application. It's the people that do it. But I understand where you come from. The US owns everything. I agree. Facts. What JP said. They do. Even if they don't, they take control. We've seen that happen many times. And if you still don't believe the US can just take whatever they want, you must be living in la land, because they took over Binance like this. $4 billion fine. The two CEOs were swapped out for World Economic Forum members and more government entities in Binance than there is in the White House. Open source is the next news we're going to talk about. Open source CBDCs are going to protect you from the government. This is basically what I've been saying for the longest time. Cryptocurrencies are your ticket to freedom, and CBDCs are essentially your ticket to no freedom. Open source CBDCs are going to protect you from the government. The people are taking notice more each day that central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, are not worth the risk. Yet to combat these concerns, some policymakers have been increasingly looking towards open source coding as a way to offer transparency and perhaps win the public trust. But make no mistake, while transparency is welcome, it's no silver bullet. For those familiar with cryptocurrencies, the concept of using open source code needs no introduction. However, for those that might be familiar, the concept simply refers to publicly publishing the source code behind a project instead of locking it away as a confidential or trade secret. For example, it is free for everybody to use because it's open source. Making a project open source has many advantages. For instance, doing so opens the doors for external audits. After a careful review, someone may find vulnerabilities that wasn't apparent to the original designers, or perhaps more concerningly, someone may find something embedded deep within the project. Essentially, we're talking about how open source is better than closed source. It's essentially what you want to be always aiming towards. CBDCs, closed source. You're never going to see what's behind the scenes. That's why cryptocurrencies are your ticket to freedom and CBDCs are the opposite. Turning back to examples of Bitcoin. Having the code be freely available allows people to verify that 21 million supply cap is more than just advertising slogan. It's embedded within the design. In effect, publishing the code behind the project helps people know they can or can't trust it. Yet open source coding is no silver bullet, especially when it comes to the problems that plague CBDCs. Consider what happened in Brazil last year. Brazil's central bank published the source code for its pilot CBDC, and it took just 4 days for people to notice that the CBDC had tools for surveillance and control embedded within its code. Facts. By the way, this news, I read this news to everybody on this live show last year. Last year on this live show, I said to everybody that there's going to be so much control on CBDCs. And I said that, they're going to be controlling CBDCs in terms of freezing, seizing, which already happens in traditional finance, freezing, seizing, expiry dates, and so on. And Brazil did last year, by accident, slip their code of their CBDC. In 4 days, people, disassembled the code and found out that how much control that CBDC has in Brazil when it is coming to everybody inside the retail section. So that is true, yeah. Consider what happened in Brazil last year. Brazil's central bank published the source code for its pilot CBDC, and it took just 4 days for people to notice that the CBDC had tools for surveillance and control embedded within its code. Facts. Where this case with the decentralized cryptocurrencies, people could crave out a new path and fork the chain or simply not use it. But what the resource is there for CBDC users when a CBDC is emptied for centralized money under government control? People could speak out, but central banks often steal from unelected officials who do not answer to the public. People could choose an alternative money, but governments often try to stomp out currency competition, which is true. So it's basically telling you basically have no hope. Okay, when it comes to a digital world, you have no say. By the way, freedom, freedom of rights, freedom of speech, it's just an illusion. It's true what they said here. If anybody tries to speak out against the central banks coming out with a CBDC, they'll just ignore you because you're nobody. And so am I, and so is everybody else. Inside the retail section, we're all nobodies. And then, because we're all peasants, is what I said. And we technically are. If you're not part of the circle of the bankers or the governors or the World Economic Forum, the Bank of International Settlements, the International Monetary Fund, or any sort of high-profile institutions, you're basically a peasant. So people could speak out, but central banks are not often steered by unelected officials. So in other words, they're not listening to you, who do not answer to the public. People could choose an alternative money to CBDCs. But governments often try to stomp out currency competition, which is true, because you can go from the other example of the crypto, essentially CBDCs, is cryptocurrencies. So CBDCs are essentially a complete control. Cryptocurrencies take it to freedom. Privacy coins, you just want a whole new level of freedom. And regarding what they said here, where you can choose alternative type of money, but governments will often try to stomp out the currency competition. True. The majority of governments have tried to ban privacy coins because there's one thing: we have cryptocurrencies that gives us that freedom edge. Not all projects, some. But then privacy coins give us that ultimate freedom, and then they're trying to take away privacy coins by delisting on exchanges and so on. A lot of Canada's government is doing this, the EU is doing this quite a lot, the UK, the US, they're all trying to ban privacy coins because that's like ultimate freedom inside of a digital world. So yeah, they will definitely try to get rid of that, ban the competition. So while the transparency is hopeful for understanding how the system works, it does essentially does little by itself to help citizens who want to change the system. Shifting the focus slightly, the US code offers an illustrative example. Anyone can crack open the US code, look to the Title 12, Chapter 35. So look to the Title 12, Chapter 35, Section 3413 and Section 3414 to see there are 20 different exceptions that allow the government to effectively ignore your rights to financial privacy. So, if you ever wanted to know, is there a law inside the United States where the government can just ignore you on whatever you say regarding your financial freedom? There is. It's Title 12, Chapter 35, Section 3413 and Section 3414 to see there are 20 different types of exceptions that allow the government to effectively ignore your rights when it comes to financial freedom. So if you're ever wondering, is there a law? Yes, there is. To take away your financial freedom? Yes, there is. I just read the law out. If anybody wants to go check it out inside the United States. Now, I just put my iPhone in charge. Sorry about that. So, to ignore your rights to financial freedom. This transparency is certainly helpful for understanding how the government maintains such an expansive financial surveillance system. But transparency alone is not enough to fix the problem. Another example of why open source code is not a silver bullet for fixing CBDCs can be seen in Norway, where the Norwegian central bank also published the code behind its CBDC project. Yet the problem is slightly different. It demonstrated that what is open source today may not be open source tomorrow. While dealing with a centralized entity like a national government, that decisions can come quickly and without consulting the public, Norway's central bank acknowledged that the point quite explicitly by noting that its current focus in no way represents a long-standing commitment to open source code. So basically, that is essentially talking about the differences. If we did have an open source CBDC where we could see the code, it still makes no difference because there are laws in place to still hinder you and stifle you from financial freedom within many different jurisdictions. And even if they make CBDCs open source in other jurisdictions, like Norway, for example, tried to do it, they said there's no point of an open source CBDC still because they can make a closed source whenever they want. As a final example, the experience in the United States also demonstrates that previous statements do not represent a future commitment to open source regarding technology. The Federal Reserve has conducted a CBDC research and pilots for years. However, one notable project was the collaboration with MIT, referred to Project Hamilton. This project led to the creation of an open source CBDC model. Yet nothing binds the Federal Reserve to the results of Project Hamilton or any open source model. In fact, the Federal Reserve seems to have all but abandoned the project. We're still seeing the very early stages of CBDC developments, but these examples are telling. Policymakers should be commended for embracing transparency, but the public shouldn't be fooled into thinking that transparency is the panko that fixes all the problems posed by a CBDC. Essentially, they're trying to say don't fall for the ideology that, these governments are coming out regarding CBDCs are good and we can move forward. For example, the EU. The EU came out and got a few MIT students because everybody has an issue when it comes to people who understand CBDCs have an issue with CBDCs because they know that you can freeze, seize, and expire it and so on. This is all part of the code. And the EU got a few MIT students to come out and talk about the privacies of CBDCs. I don't know how much these MIT students were paid off, because they were paid off very well, because they came on and tried to make us look like the morons when we're not. And basically, the MIT students, in a very simple term, said there's no privacy issues with CBDCs. There's nothing wrong with CBDCs. Governments can't control you, seize you, freeze you, expire date you, and so on and so on. Who said this about CBDCs? Is what the MIT students said. They were definitely paid off very hefty. Now, it's basically what was going in here. Although the use of open source technology has been a cornerstone of cryptocurrency developments, people should not lose the sight that decentralized cryptocurrencies also gives people the power to act on that information. And that is the condition that has created a revolution in the way people think about money and finance. There is no way a CBDC can replicate that benefit. The problems here extended far beyond the often conduct of central banks and go right to the core question of how much power a government should have fundamentally. The problem with CBDCs is that they risk centralizing money more than ever before. So much that it risks giving the government virtually unlimited power over citizens' economic choices. Yes, it does. Definitely does. So yeah, as I've said multiple times, CBDCs, basically your new prison lifestyle, cryptocurrencies, ticket to freedom, privacy coins, ultimate freedom. Is basically what it is. Privacy coins, ultimate freedom, cryptocurrencies, freedom, CBDCs, welcome to your new prison cell. Now, the next news we're going to be going through on tonight's live show is an interesting one as well. Another Bitcoin earthquake in Hong Kong. This time, they are working on Bitcoin centralized mortgage, a Bitcoin centralized mortgage, and a Bitcoin centralized loans in Hong Kong is what we're going to talk about next. But before we do that, let's go inside the comment section. If you have any comments as well, put inside the comment section. I'm reading everybody's comments one by one, as always. The US owns everything. Yes, they do. Facts. No, you can blame iTelegram because if they don't have the security to do that, it's just like exchanges. If they can protect our protection on Telegram, they can't even protect our data OBS. Facts. Yes, that's true. Miles, we said that in February 2023. Yes, that's true as well. Facts. Miles, are they going to make AI closed source in the future? Yes. AI is going to become closed source in the future. It is true. That's what they're trying to do in the EU right now, because in America, they're going to be doing that as well. You see, AI is open source, obviously, right now. A lot of people are developing on AI, and I think AI should remain open source. I think everything should be open source. Going inside of a digital world, I think everything should be open source. Transparency is better, always. But governments don't like the idea of too much transparency, and they don't like the idea of AI being open source. Mostly because the corporations don't like the idea of open source, regarding AI, because they're developing for free. So you get people from the retail section building on AI in their own spare time, and then you have massive corporations like Microsoft and Amazon and Google and Apple paying employees to come up with ideas on AI, and it's not really working out well for them, because people who are building on AI for free in their spare time, and they're not working for Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and so on, they're actually out competing these massive technology corporations. And obviously, these corporations don't like the idea of that. So they're putting pressure on governments to come up with regulations to stifle the AI creation regarding open sourceness, so that Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, and Nevada, and so on, they can carry on, building on AI and introducing new things on AI, and not have regular people build on AI, because they're paying their employees, so they can make money out of people, and it'll just backfire if people are already building on AI. So one's doing it for free in their spare time and one's getting paid, and the people that are doing it for free are actually outpacing the employees from Apple, Google, and Amazon on building on AI. And they're putting pressure on different types of governments. The EU wants to put a little bit of a speed bump in AI transparency. They want to close source it instead of open source, and the US wants to do the same thing. Now, well, I'm not a peasant because I'm part of the CMF. Let's go, facts. I see you looking at the comments. I told you before, everything is public records, but most people don't care. There's 26. Yeah, there's 26. Yes, sorry. That's where Gary was teaching cryptocurrencies. He got paid 6 million. Well, there we go. Hi, Miles and family. Troy, good to see you as well. How you doing? Even Miles and CMF. Pierce, good to see you as well. How you doing? I see JP commenting for everyone today. Let's go, Camel. Greetings from Philippines. Let's go. Joey, how you doing from Philippines, Joey? I don't see yours. I can't respond to you. Maybe they just hate. Thanks, Carol. Let's go. Carol, let's go. Good to see you. How you doing? So, next news on tonight's live show is this one. Another Bitcoin earthquake in Hong Kong. This time, they are working on a Bitcoin collateralized mortgage and collateralized essentially loans. Hong Kong, known for its financial center status, recently hosted the Bitcoin Asia Conference. The event attracted a significant number of participants from mainland China, despite the country's ban on commercial cryptocurrency trading. Organized by BTC Inc., which also runs the Bitcoin conference and owns Bitcoin magazine, the conference was attended by approximately 5,500 participants, half of whom are estimated to be essentially from mainland China. David Bailey, co-founder and CEO of BTC Inc., noted that interest in the conference was a strong due to Hong Kong's imminent launch of essentially Hong Kong's imminent launch of spot Bitcoin ETFs and anticipation of launch of Ethereum ETFs, of layer 2 developments and projects. I think ETFs are a kind of an admission that Bitcoin is here to stay, Bailey said. New ETFs in Hong Kong that accept an in-kind subscription and allow purchases made with Bitcoin and Ethereum can be positively received by cryptocurrency investors. Received by, essentially, according to David Bailey, this feature is very important because crypto investors can use ETF shares as collateral for loans. So in Hong Kong, if you do go for Bitcoin ETFs, you can actually use your Bitcoin ETFs to put them down as collateral and go for collateralized loans, tokenized loans in some sort of a way. You can also use your Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs for paying off your mortgage and borrowing money against it and paying off your mortgage, or borrowing money against it and paying off your loans. Now, ETF shares as collateral for loans. Harvest Global and China AMC, managers of Hong Kong's crypto ETFs, confirmed they are working to promote collateralized of ETFs products in the city. Not only can you borrow against your ETFs, not only can you, regarding your Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs, you can actually borrow against them in Hong Kong and pay off, your mortgage or pay off your loans by borrowing against your Bitcoin Ethereum ETFs. But you can also do subscription on Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs in Hong Kong, something that is not offered inside the Western markets. But you can also, you can do subscription Bitcoin ETFs. So you can, put a subscription down to buy monthly, automatically as a direct debit. Just keep on buying Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, and then use them as collateral from the bank and borrow against it and pay off your mortgage and pay off your loans. You can't do that in the West so far. Now, the next news to go through on tonight's live show is from Trump. Now, I've said this before as well. Obviously, I'm not from the United States. I'm just sharing the news because, so it doesn't matter who you're voting for. I'm just sharing the news regarding Trump. But Trump did say if he does become the president of the United States, he will draft in the crypto law day one. Day one. Donald Trump said he will draft in the crypto law. So we'll go through that after I go through the comment section. I'm sorry, I will not comment anymore. No, JP, keep the comments coming. Don't worry about it. Keep the comments coming. I can't see anybody comments or anybody's questions. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. If you have a comment, JP, go for it. Anybody has a comment, go for it. I will always comment. Oh, trust me. Let's go, JP. They work with Harvard universities. They are connected. Yes, that's true as well. Hi, Miles and CMF. Mike, good to see you as well. How you doing? He's the main mum. He's the main mum? Man. You mean he's the main man? I'm guessing that's what that means. He's the main man. Trump taps Bitcoin Magazine CEO to draft day one crypto policy. Day one. Donald Trump, the Republican nominee for 2024 presidential election, is working with Bitcoin Magazine Chief Executive Officer David Bailey, same David Bailey that was in Hong Kong, on a crypto policy agenda. On a post on X, David Bailey stated that he has been working with Donald Trump for a month on a so-called comprehensive executive order to be signed on day one. Day one also happens to be when Trump, according to comments made in Iowa back in December, plans to be a dictator. Trump later told Time that the remark was made in a gist, basically. Now, additionally, David Bailey pointed out that he and other players in the crypto space are looking to raise a $100 million war chest for Trump campaign to ensure the twice impeached and quadruple indicted candidate gets back in the White House. David Bailey's revelation comes as Trump, currently on trial in New York for allegedly falsifying business records, reverses his stance on Bitcoin, which he previously called a scam and based on thin air. The Trump rallies almost entirely on campaign donations and political action committees, PACs, to pay his lawyers. Bills estimated to be north of $100 million at the start of 2024. He's now hoping donations could be made in cryptocurrencies. At the event of Mar-a-Lago on May 9th, Trump declared, "If you're pro-crypto, you'll support me because the other guys want to squash me." In a later post, David Bailey said, "It's time for Bitcoin to elect the next president of the United States." Meanwhile, President Joe Biden and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler continue to spark widespread criticism and opposition from top movers in the crypto industry, like Cardano founder Charles. Even billionaire Mark Cuban has expressed concerns about Biden's re-election prospects, scrutinizing the SEC's tough stance on crypto. Mark Cuban criticized Gary Gensler, for creating obstacles for legitimate crypto businesses, urging Congress to address the issues through specific legislations tailored to the industry. The Biden administration has given zero indications that it's anti-crypto. Rather than an executive order from September 2022, the White House seemingly referenced the $50 billion crash of terror, the wave of insolvencies that wiped out $600 billion of investors and consumer funds, as a reason to harness crypto potential responsibly. The industry has also had many scandals, including FTX's bankruptcy and Binance's recent hefty settlement with the US government after the former CEO essentially pleaded guilty to violating US money laundering laws. Scenarios like these have left a section of the American voting public skeptical of crypto overall safety and reliability, according to the Pew Research Center. But Trump's pandering to crypto enthusiasms comes as a poll indicated that it's a popular item among his supporters. For instance, a recent survey conducted by the DCG and Harris Poll essentially indicated that about 20% of the American voters in swing states consider crypto as a key issue for upcoming elections. So, by the looks of it, according to Donald Trump, day one, he gets essentially in the presidency seat in the White House. He will draft in the crypto rules and regulations, which I'm guessing he means day one, we will have crypto regulations inside the United States. And day one, Gary Gensler is being taken to the exit. Now, the next news to read on tonight's live show is from Ripple CEO. Ripple CEO predicts SEC losing in the long run in fight against crypto. Before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section. So, here we go. Trump is a mean man. Yeah, you mean he's a man? Yeah. Trump and different venues have been there, 100 of thousands of them, and the only cryptocurrency he has spoken about is Ripple. He hasn't said XRP, he's just said Ripple. That's true. He's talking about Ripple. Trump has spoken about Ripple. He's talked about, in the past, Trump talked about Bitcoin, but not in a good way. Fast forward to today, he's talked about Bitcoin in a good way. He's talked about Ripple in a good way. He's talked about not Ethereum, but he's talked about NFTs that are built on the ETH chain in a good way. Because he's had 3 NFT projects, if I'm not mistaken, so far. Thanks, Miles. Skynet, here we come. Let's go, Ian. Well, I've been to his rallies. He's talked directly to Ripple, not XRP. I'm not a mixed statement alone. Okay. Let's go, JP, for the inside scoop. JP's been to the rallies, so we're getting the inside scoop of what he's actually said. Let's go. I mean, for him to say Ripple is a big, huge part of the crypto industry. Facts, it is. Your statement is confusing. Trump is pro-crypto and not Biden. Yeah, Biden is not pro-crypto. Biden doesn't know what crypto is. I mean, Biden doesn't know how to spell his own name. Biden doesn't even know he's Biden. That's the main issue of Biden. Forget about crypto and blockchain. Biden doesn't even know he's Biden. That's the bigger issue. But yeah, no, Biden's, his administration, because we all know that Biden has no brain cells, but his administration, essentially has the movements. Anybody seen Weekend at Bernie's? Anybody seen that movie, Weekend at Bernie's, when they're just moving that guy around with a string? That's basically what Sleepy Joe is. They're just moving Sleepy Joe around with strings. That's basically what it is. Weekend at Bernie's when it comes to Sleepy Joe. But that's basically what it is. But yeah, no, Sleepy Joe is anti-crypto for CBDCs, his administration. Trump is pro-crypto. The other guy, which is Kennedy, he is just pro-Bitcoin. Nothing else, just Bitcoin. But yeah, basically, Biden doesn't even know he's Biden. The next news to go through, as I said, Ripple CEO we're going to talk about now. Trump is not true crypto. Trump is not true crypto. Yeah. Anti-crypto, you mean? Okay. Next news on tonight's live show. Absolutely, it's the best show ever. Let's go. Ripple's CEO predicts, so it's the next news when we talk about tonight's live show, after the Trump news we just went through. So Ripple's CEO predicts SEC losing in the long run in a fight against crypto. Ripple's CEO Brad is confident that the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, will ultimately fall short in its battle against cryptocurrency industry. This assertion is a pivotal as Ripple navigates a 3-year-long tussle with the SEC over accusations of conducting an unregistered securities offering. During a May 10th essential interview with Chris of the World's Class YouTube channel, Brad reflected on Ripple's journey through the legal challenges. He highlighted the pivotal moments when Ripple emerged victorious in a lawsuit filed by the SEC's last July, marking a significant triumph for Ripple and the entire industry. Brad further shared his emotional reactions to the court's decision, underscoring the immense relief and vindication it brought after years of legal battles. Addressing the SEC's role as a regulatory authority, Brad criticized the agency's tactics, characterizing it as a bully that targets weaker players inside the crypto space through malicious and manipulative tactics. Nevertheless, despite facing legal challenges, Brad remained resolute in the believing that crypto industries will prevail under regulatory scrutiny. This is what he said, word for word. The SEC is going to lose in the long run, Brad confidently stated. And he went on to say, this is just a speed bump. I'm so optimistic about what the future of crypto looks like. We'll look back in 20 years and be like, God, that sucked. But you know what? A little bump, whatever. The market will be measured in many, 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 many trillions, and it will change the way many, many, many transactions work. Moreover, despite regulatory hurdles, Brad remained steadfast in his convictions about the enduring success of cryptocurrencies. He argued that the history favors the best technologies, and in his view, crypto essentially is that principle. He laminated the potential consequences of the US lagging this technological revolution, contrasting it with the country's dominance during the early stages of the internet. Yeah, honestly, I do agree with what Brad said. CEO of Ripple, Brad, what he did say. Yeah, I agree with it. Absolutely facts regarding the SEC. Just malicious attacks on the crypto space, bullying the crypto space, bullying quite a lot of crypto projects, trying to meddle their way in. Yeah, definitely I agree with it. He's abusing his power. He's an absolute moron. Weasel Gary Gensler. Yeah, there's many issues wrong with it. But I mean, what do you expect? You have Sleepy Joe and you have Weasel Gary. It's like, good luck the US at that point. And you have Jerome Powell, the Fed. They don't really have good combinations going on. Okay, you have Sleepy Joe, who doesn't even know he's Biden. You have Weasel Gary, who most likely was bullied in his past, when he was a bit younger, and now he has that power where he abuses it. And then you have Jerome Powell, the Fed, which is a two-faced liar. Let's just be honest. The Fed came out and said, we're not working on CBDCs. Who said we have a secret project CBDC? We're not developing controllable money. And about a week later, there was a document that was sent to all these politicians inside the US, and it said, key points, CBDCs. Title, the Fed. So you have a two-faced liar, the Fed. You have Sleepy Joe, who doesn't even know he's Biden. And then you have Weasel Gary. God bless America. Honestly, it's not looking good. But there could be, there's the reversal coming, essentially moving forward. There's definitely a reversal coming. Now, the next news to go through is US Congress pushes crypto regulatory clarity. This is where tables can turn. The tables can change, essentially, or turn. Trump, absolutely, it's the best show. Sleepy has a new name. It's CP30 from CP30. Okay, CP30. US Congress pushes crypto regulatory clarity. The United States House Financial Services Committee has recently taken a significant step to address regulatory uncertainties inside the cryptocurrency industry. Supporting business magnates Mark Cuban's criticism of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, the committee argues the current SEC regulations are overly burdensome, costly, and discourage compliance within the crypto sector. Legislation on the horizon. In response to these critiques, the Financial Services Committee is advocating for Financial Innovation and Technology FIT 21 Act, which aims to streamline the regulatory process and make it more transparent. This proposed legislation seeks to differentiate from clearer rules between the Commodities Futures Trading Commission (CFTC) and the SEC, with specific focuses on fostering a healthier environment for legitimate blockchain enterprises. What are the expected benefits? Now, I talked about this about a few nights ago, but we didn't have a clear indication, and now we have a better indication moving forward. So this is what it basically is. What are the expected benefits of this new FIT 21 Act that Congress is trying to put forward, where the CFTC has more power than the SEC, on regarding essentially bringing in regulations for cryptocurrencies? The FIT 21 Act is designed to provide clearer guidelines for crypto-related activities and define the regulatory scope more distinctly. Chairman Patrick McHenry emphasized the efforts behind the Act and its potential to strengthen the US as a leader in global financial systems by supporting innovation. The key insights for users. The FIT 21 Act could potentially lower the entry barriers for new crypto businesses by reducing regulatory costs and complexities. This is what Dubai did. Dubai did the exact same things. They lowered the barriers, they lowered the fees, and said everybody's welcome. And it definitely boosts their economy regarding the blockchain sectors going towards them. Depends on if it gets the green lights it needs. Clearer distinctions between CFTC and SEC rules may lead to more targeted and effective compliance processes. Enhanced regulatory clarity might attract more legitimate investments into the crypto space, potentially stabilizing the market. The push for FIT 21 Act continues as it moves closer to the floor vote, having already gathered support from key players within the cryptocurrency industry, like Grayscale. Grayscale has given this a green light, interesting enough. And Grayscale was the one that sued the SEC and won. The proposed changes are expected to provide much needed regulatory clarity and aid the development of a more robust crypto ecosystem in the United States. And what's interesting is obviously Grayscale. Now you might think the SEC has a lot of power, but everybody else regarding Grayscale, Fidelity, BlackRock, Vanguard, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they have a lot more power than Gary Gensler dreams of having. They can make a lot of things happen. That's why Grayscale won against the SEC, while every other crypto project is a bit struggling, and it's taken them years. But Grayscale got the job done, and they green-lighted Bitcoin ETF straight after that. Just shows you how much power Grayscale has compared to the SEC. Now, the FIT21 Act, if it gets implemented, brilliant. CFTC has a lot more power. Rostam Benham understands what cryptocurrencies are. He said multiple times, Ethereum is a commodity, is what the chairman of essentially of the CFTC has said. Rostam Benham, he said Ethereum is a commodity. The majority of crypto projects are commodities, and he doesn't know why the SEC is wasting everybody's time. So that needs to get green lighted in Congress, and then Sleepy Joe needs to sign it. That's the only issue with Sleepy Joe needs to sign it. Now, Sleepy Joe could be on the good side because it's voting season. It's getting close to voting season, so he could sign the document just to make everybody happy. Or they can slip it in front of him and just write, this is for ice cream or something. And, he might sign it. He has 2 brain cells going on. Regarding Sleepy Joe, they can just write, if you sign this as unlimited ice creams, it is Sleepy Joe. He has legit 2 brain cells. Now, the next news to go from tonight's live show, but it is good news. If that gets, essentially going in, green lighted, amazing. And Grayscale is already behind us. The next news to go from tonight's live show is I am a huge fan of blockchain. That's not my words, but obviously so am I. But it's the words of the CEO of Franklin Templeton. I am a huge fan of blockchain, said the CEO of Franklin Templeton in a well-established global conference in California. We'll go through that as well. They were recently at Miami as well. They made the same similar speech, which I talked about on the slideshow. But now they've said some other things, and they said this one in California's global conference, which we'll go through after I go through the comment section on tonight's live show. By the way, if you're watching this for the first time ever, if you have a comment, drop it down inside the comment sections. I'm reading everybody's comments one by one. Where were we? We were here inside the comment section. Yeah. Are they going to turn this year? I'm not it. Are they going to turn this year? Best country is Mass right now. Mass? Evening all. Susie, good to see you. How you doing? It's all but long. JP, let's go. Hi, Miles of CMF. Mav, good to see you. How you doing? Hello, I'm a maths debater. Any maths questions? No maths questions, but nice to meet you, maths debater. Now, the next news to go from tonight's live show is this one. I'm a huge fan of blockchain, said CEO Franklin Templeton. Jenny Johnson, CEO of Franklin Templeton, appeared in an interview with Bloomberg anchor David Westland during an annual Macon Institution Global Conference in California. In this interview, she shared her views on the assessment management business evolving from traditional asset management instruments to alternative investments like private equity, real estate, and private credit insurance. Now, Franklin Templeton grew to the size of $1.6 trillion. Assets under management, AUM, spread mostly across mutual funds, a considerable exposure to other investment instruments like private credit that offers a significant difference in the returns essentially earned. Now, Johnson shed light on how Franklin Templeton has evolved over time, being a traditional asset management company, to gaining exposure to a diverse range of investable instruments to cater to the evolving market demands. The interview delves deep in the benefits of private credit and its growth trajectory around evolving market dynamics. Johnson also pointed out to the bank's strict requirements, which have supported growth in the private credit market by offering investors a higher return with longer maturity periods. Franklin navigated the complexities of private credit and absolute risk management strategies like capitalizing on emerging opportunities in the leading landscape. Importance of blockchain technology in the evolution of financial sector. Around this evolution in the asset management space, Johnson emphasized a transformative impact. This is when things get a little bit interesting. A transformative impact of blockchain technology in fund management and shareholder servicing. Franklin Templeton has made headlines with the launch of their SEC-approved ETF instruments built on blockchain, pointing to the regime shift towards transparency. It is true, their ETF is on the blockchain, so it is full transparency. It's the first one. That's why it's breaking headlines. Efficiency and trust in financial transactions. She also said that in the future, all ETFs and mutual fund instruments will leverage blockchain technology. The majority of the conversations evolve towards blockchain transformative potential beyond fund management. It will drive operational efficiencies in the leading landscape. She highlighted blockchain's role in revolutionizing asset tokenization, citing examples such as multiple NFT projects that have been done by multiple projects and tokenization projects that are still going on, application of blockchain and challenges in the financial landscape. Johnson highlighted the application blockchain. However, she also addressed concerns regarding regulatory requirements and investor education in the ever-growing digital asset space. She acknowledged the regulatory challenges, underscoring the company's commitment to responsible investing and leveraging active management strategies to navigate the evolving regulatory landscapes and mitigate potential risk. Insertions of AI and blockchain. So they didn't only talk about at this global California event, they didn't only talk about blockchain technology and ETFs and tokenizations and NFTs. They went through a variety of things regarding technology. And then they started talking about AI and blockchain. Johnson further discussed Franklin's strategic partnerships with Microsoft, aimed at utilizing the power of artificial intelligence, AI, to enhance customer interactions and portfolio management. She also emphasized the integration of blockchain and AI that is expected to deliver personalized solutions that optimize operational efficiencies across global markets. Furthermore, discussions also went towards the insertions of data privacy and AI. She highlighted the company's commitment to protecting the priority data and safeguarding against unauthorized access. Leveraging essentially priority data and external sources. The company aims to train AI models effectively as well. That drive and innovation might be able to provide tailored investment ideas for clients as well moving forward. In the future, Johnson outlined Franklin Templeton's vision. So this is Franklin Templeton's vision, a $1.6 trillion AUM assets under management's vision for the future of blockchain, AI, and so on. This is their vision word for word. Johnson outlined Franklin Templeton's vision for blockchain-driven innovation, envisioning a future where financial products are seamlessly integrated on blockchain platforms. Blockchain is dedicated to revolutionizing financial services, and Franklin remains at the forefront of driving innovation and values for investors, while shaping the future of finance in a decentralized world. Towards the end of the conversation, she concluded her vision for a blockchain-powered future built as a testament to Franklin Templeton's heightened commitment to innovation, transparency, and client-centrics in a rapidly evolving financial landscape. And that, word for word, is Franklin Templeton, a $1.6 trillion asset under management's vision of going forward. But they're very heavy in 2024. They are very heavy into tokenizations. They're doing multiple testings. Also, the first ever ETF to be on a blockchain, which is full transparency. I mean, they are turning headlines around, and they do essentially going forward. They see themselves as being a frontier, not working alongside blockchain technology or working alongside AI, a frontier. They see themselves at the front of the line. Interesting enough, so does IBM. IBM sees themselves at the front of the line. So does BlackRock, and even JP Morgan, who Larry Fink essentially JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, goes around essentially and is against some sort of cryptos and so on. But he's also seen himself as a frontier in blockchain financial landscape as well. Now, the next news, that's major news regarding Franklin Templeton. The next news to go through, because they see how the future is going to be moving forward, essentially. The next news to go through on tonight's live show is Brics crypto launch looms Robert. So Robert, obviously the person, the author that wrote the Rich Dad Poor Dad, has came out and made a little speech of how he thinks the market is moving forward. Hello, all good there. Love for beauty. Good to see what you're doing. Thanks for the information. You are the only YouTuber with valuable information. Thanks for that. Thank you so much for the kind words. Honestly, thank you so much for the kind words. Love for beauty. And good to see you as well. Hello there, Miles and family. Hope all is well though. Ray, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Hi there, brother. That's what Ian said as well. Now, this is the next news. Brics crypto launch looms, says Robert, and he's backing Bitcoin. Robert, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, recently made a speech, has urged his followers to invest in Bitcoin. Obviously, this is not financial advice, and this is coming from Robert. He cited this as a safeguard against potential risks associated with the likely launch of the Brics crypto, an asset that might be backed by gold, guarding against the US dollar crash. Robert constantly made this recommendation in the past. This time, he believes that the digital coin can serve as a protective measure against the potential fallouts from the US dollar crash. In light of recent concerns about the global economy stability, the renowned financial educator strongly recommends that investors consider exploring safe havens as a way to safeguard their assets. Recently, he posted on X that assets such as gold, silver, and Bitcoin can serve as stabilizing a force during turbulent times, as he likened them to parachutes, for example. He believes that by giving priority to Bitcoin as an asset, investors can mitigate the impact of economic downturns and ensure a secure future for themselves. This is what he said, word for word, on his own tweet. He said, bail out, bail out, bail out. In US Navy flight school, student pilots learn how to fly and how to crash their plane. Financial losers will lose money because they do not know what to do with their money as banks fail and world economy crashes. For many years, I have warned. Buy BTCs, what he said, what Robert said, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. So basically, bail out, bail out, bail out. The US Navy, essentially in flight school, student pilots learn how to fly and how to crash their plane. Essentially, you need to know when to jump out, is what he's trying. His entire analogy is you need to know when to jump out and bail, essentially, and go to a safe haven asset. Brics crypto and Bitcoin to gain the upper hand. The business tycoon had recently visited to South Africa. A founding member of Brics Alliance has caused him to have a projections about the birth of Brics crypto. So the Brics Alliance members control a significant supply of the US dollars used for international oil trade. He speculated that it is possible that the Brics crypto could be backed by gold, according to his South African trips. Although the exact details are still unknown, if this happens, it will cause a chain reaction to the US dollars. Now, obviously, I'll tell you my own opinion after this as well. If trillions of US dollars go back in the US, it will cause hyperinflation, which automatically means the fiat currency will be less valuable. So in his eyes, Rich Dad Poor Dad, he went to South Africa, he had a vacation, he talked to a few BRICS members, apparently, and then they told him that they're going to be sending back the US dollars, apparently. And when the US dollar reaches the US, essentially, the US will have too much dollars on their hands and there'll be, hyperinflation. I can guarantee you, if that happens, which will never happen, but according to Rich Dad Poor Dad, somehow the South Africans are going to be giving away trillions of dollars from all the BRICS nations back to the US dollar for free money. And then the US is going to go through hyperinflation and the US dollar will crash. That won't happen because the moment the US gets that money, they'll probably just send it to Ukraine and hyperinflation fixed. To prevent the impact of the big economic crisis, because they don't have to print to send to Ukraine anymore, they can just send that one to Ukraine, has once again recommended investing in assets like Bitcoin. Through assets like gold and silver have been proven reliable, Bitcoin's differentiating nature and increasing acceptance worldwide make it stand out. The famous financial educator is once again making headlines with his bullish outlook on Bitcoin. Recently, he expressed his beliefs that the cryptocurrency price could surge to $150,000 soon. He strongly believes in Bitcoin and consistently invests in the cryptocurrency, expanding horizons with digital assets. In 2021, he predicted a major market crash that would happen that would not only impact Bitcoin and gold, but also stocks. He saw it as a unique opportunity for investors to seize. He often emphasizes the importance of buying at least a fraction of Bitcoin as a way to protect against potential economic troubles like the potentially fatal Brics crypto failout. Nowadays, there are various ways to get involved with Bitcoin. Apart from purchasing BTC from different crypto trading platforms, the US now offers a spot Bitcoin ETF product that trade on regulated exchanges. Ever since receiving approval from the US SEC in January, BlackRock, Fidelity Investments, Grayscales, and other companies have significant inflows of investments. Okay, this person, Robert, Rich Dad Poor Dad author, he is a slight bit of a moron. Not saying obviously Bitcoin is a bad asset, because it isn't. Bitcoin is a good asset. As an asset to have on the sidelines, sure, if you want to go for it. But what part of it is a moronic opinion to have is him, first of all, going on a vacation to South Africa and apparently having conversations. He didn't mention who he had conversations with, but apparently he went to South Africa and the South African government, opened their arms and spilled all of their Brics secrets to a random book author who wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, because sure, that's how it works in politics, especially the secrets of Brics. The US doesn't know the secrets of Brics. The US government doesn't, up to some certain extent, they probably do, but not to the rest of it. And a random Rich Dad Poor Dad author goes to South Africa, and apparently the politicians open their arms and bring him in and give him all the secrets of the Brics of what's going to happen next. Nobody talked to this guy. I'll be honest with you. What actually happened was he went to South Africa on a vacation, made up some stories in his head, went back to the US and went on a news channel and said, yep, I talked to the South African government and they spilled all their secrets. The US dollar is about to go, bailout, and something else also, that the South Africans are about to give back trillions of dollars back to the US. Where from? First of all, where is South Africa getting all that money back to give it back to the US? Second of all, if South Africa had trillions of dollars accumulated from BRICS countries, are they stupid to give back free money? It is still money. It's still counted as a current a legal tender around the whole world. Why would they give back free money? There's no logic to whatever he just spilled here. The only logic part about it was Bitcoin's a good asset. The rest of it was definitely made up in his own head. No South African authority government spoke to this man and spilled the Brics secrets, as if Putin is ever going to let the Rich Dad Poor Dad author get the secrets of the Brics coming up next, of him talking to South African government, or as if Russia, China, India, or Brazil, and so on. I mean, Russia, China, India, and Brazil, and the Brics nations essentially are going to be giving back trillions of dollars back to the US. And what planet are they going to be doing that? This guy is an absolute moron. But the only part he was actually talking a bit of truth on was regarding the Bitcoin part. The rest of it was absolute BS. Honestly, IQ of genuinely mean it. Some people just share the resemblance of an IQ of the brain cells of the exact goldfishes. Honestly, he shares the exact same brain cells as a goldfish. Honestly, him going to South Africa and then the South African government spilling the secrets of the BRICS nations, sure. And then for some magical reason, the BRICS nations will give back. This is the interesting part. Not even burn the US dollars or something. The BRICS nations will give back apparently trillions of dollars to the US. Sure. Let's all pretend that's real. What delusional man. BlackRock. Anything to sell his book is what it is, basically. Because people like him make a lot of money from people buying in their moronic books. Now, BlackRock is the next news we're talking about tonight's live show. BlackRock makes the conversations in crypto again. It is controlling. Is it controlling Bitcoin? Question mark. And also what he said about Bitcoin being free from the hands of the U.S. government and essentially governments in general. bit of a misleading scenario as well. For Bitcoin to operate, it needs the mining equipments for it to operate. Bitcoin needs the mining institutions to operate. So something else that the rich dad, poor dad, Robert said regarding Bitcoin being out of the hands of the US. Yeah, there are 5. Okay, this is for Robert and anybody else that may think Robert might be on the right lines. There are 5 major Bitcoin mining institutions. There are more Bitcoin mining institutions around the world. There's a lot more. But there are 5 major ones that control the majority of the network. And they used to be in China. Then China banned Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to push their CBDC. Then those Bitcoin mining institutions went to the US. And now they're in the US. And the majority shareholders of these Bitcoin mining institutions are BlackRock, Vanguard, and Goldman Sachs. Essentially, they're the majority shareholders. Sorry, BlackRock, Vanguard, and Fidelity, not Goldman Sachs, Fidelity. They're the majority shareholders. So the ideology that they're free from corporations, like, Bitcoin's free from corporations or free from US government or anything like that, is also a bit misleading, because Bitcoin needs those Bitcoin mining institutions to operate. And those 5 big ones that control the majority of the network, their backbone essentially is BlackRock, Vanguard, and Fidelity. And obviously their backbone is who. So they're not really free from corporations or institutions. A lot of people really think Bitcoin, operates on magical frequencies. Bitcoin operates with mining institutions, not magical frequencies. And if those Bitcoin mining institutions went kaput, Bitcoin will go kaput, essentially, because they're controlling the majority of the network. Not saying they will do that, but there's the option. Now, regarding the next news, which is BlackRock. BlackRock makes the essentially conversation in crypto again. Is it controlling Bitcoin? Is BlackRock controlling Bitcoin? Interesting. We'll just talk about that now. But before we read that, let's consider the comment section. Here we go. Well, we were here. This is Robert, and that said gold and silver was the only option. That's true as well. Robert, a very long time ago, rich dad, poor dad, a very long time ago, said Bitcoin, no, scam. Crypto, no, scam. Only gold and silver. A little bit of time passed, and then he realized that if he wants to keep on selling his book to everybody, he has to start now, going with the new wave. Yes, Bitcoin is good. Buy my book, is what Robert says now. So yes, true. He did say a very long time ago, only gold and silver, but obviously he needs to push his book. So, now he's in all favor of Bitcoin as well. Strange how people just change their opinions. Miles, just to sell a book. Miles, when are you going to get your merchandise printed up? I need a new shirt and hat. Lol. Troy is coming. It's coming. New merchandise is coming. Don't worry. Yes, Miles, give us the merch, brother. Let's go, Ian. Yes, merchandise is coming for the CMF. I'm actually designing logos. I've been designing with AI quite a bit on logos. Miles, if you bring his name up again, he is full of BS. He made his money and now he thinks he can say whatever he wants. It's true. It's like the other guy that brought Bitcoin at $1, and now he goes around and says, the most moronic comedy things ever. He doesn't matter what we will. He doesn't matter. What will you say them to all the same? Well, tell them, people. I'll put them straight. Hi everyone. We had Mother's Day on the weekend, so I've been MIA with the family. I hope everyone is well. Just in time to catch up on the rundown of what was discussed today. Let's go, Shelly. Good to see you as well, Shelly. How you doing? And by the way, thank you so much for reminding me, Shelly. Happy Mother's Day to everyone that's watching this live show. If you are a mother, happy Mother's Day as well. Let's go, Shelly. Good to see you. How you doing? It's good to hear. And yeah, thank you for reminding me as well. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Good to see you as well, Shelly. Now, BlackRock. BlackRock makes the conversation in crypto again. Is it controlling Bitcoin? And we are actually close to what Shelly said as well, but we still have a bit more news to go for Shelly, but then I'll do the gist at the end, no problem, as always. So, in contrast to some spot Bitcoin ETF issuers, BlackRock, an investment management firm, holds a relatively small $5.5 million stake in iShares Bitcoin Trust and their own essentially Bitcoin ETFs. Bitcoin has been around for about 15 years now and has an increasing number of companies and brands have started accepting crypto as a form of a payment. BlackRock's BTC holdings. Bitcoin is intentionally designed to be scarce. It's highly regarded as a dependable store of value, which is why people are eager to have the opportunity to use it. As Bitcoin is becoming used less for everyday transactions, it is gaining popularity as a means of exchange in alternative ways. It should be, yes. It definitely should be. Regarding Bitcoin, please, I wouldn't personally use Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Bitcoin should be only used, in my preference, as store of value. Other than that, waste of money. This includes to borrow against and use as collateral, in other words. This includes strategic investments in startups by funds, VCs, and angel investors. Market investors have observed on the increasing number of startups seeking service providers to convert Bitcoin into fiat currencies for their operational needs. Investors have also observed a rise in number of major institutional investors acquiring Bitcoin as an alternative investment. They are seeking ways to diversify their portfolio and find returns that can protect against market volatilities. According to reports, BlackRock has submitted its 13F filings. Now, 13F filings are essentially what these institutions have all filed out to the SEC. And then now we know who holds crypto and who doesn't, is what we talked about for a few days now instead of this live show. They're called 13F filings. Every institution is pretty much filling one out, and we know who holds crypto and who doesn't, or who holds ETFs, in other words. The filing provides a measure of institutional interest in Bitcoin ETFs. In this filing, the company disclosed its $5.5 million exposure to its IBIT Bitcoin ETF, which is considered moderate. True. This offering is significantly different from the large investments made by other issuers that have been approved by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. It's worth mentioning that Bracebridge holds the top position as the largest IBIT holder, essentially, in a significant stake of $86 million. Given the relatively small size of BlackRock's IBIT stake, there are suspicions among certain crypto analysts. JP Morgan recently revealed that it also has investments in Bitcoin ETFs. According to the firm's portfolio, they currently hold 11,000 IBIT shares and a few other essentially Bitcoin ETFs going on as well. Is BlackRock stealing BTC's growth potential? Is what we're asking right now. At this point, BlackRock is slowly bouncing back with a significant influx of $14.2 million, which reflects investor confidence in the IBIT ETF. If you thought the Bitcoin ETFs were dead and nobody's buying Bitcoin ETFs and this was it and Bitcoin is now going to be sitting at this price forever or for a very long time, you're incorrect, because there are actually inflows happening. As there are sell-offs happening, there are also inflows. The retail section is the sell-offs, and essentially the institutional section is the Bitcoin ETFs having inflows, because at this point, BlackRock is slowly bouncing back with a significant influx of $14.2 million, which reflects investor confidence in the IBIT ETFs. In general, the price of Bitcoin has not shown a positive response to the increasing ETF holdings. Approval of additional financial products that use different digital assets, such as the upcoming decisions on the Ethereum ETFs. There are also some investors holding money on the sidelines, hoping for the Ethereum ETFs. So it could potentially alleviate of some of the buying pressure on ETFs. Additionally, exploring the possibilities of licensing and approving additional fiat to Bitcoin payments and exchange systems could potentially increase the availability of Bitcoin in the markets beyond traditional brokerages. In the Web3 ecosystem, an increasing number of investors are using crypto assets to support promising startups. Several impressive projects and initiatives have already received funding through BTC or other stablecoins, and we can expect the witness to increase in such endeavors moving forward. In order to achieve this, it is crucial to ensure a sufficient circulation of Bitcoin in the markets. In order to meet these requirements, it is necessary to have a wider range of financial products with multiple purchasing models and diverse digital currency support. Additionally, there should be increased accessibility to mediums of exchanges to ensure that investors and companies using BTC for funding to continue to thrive. Furthermore, it is worth noting that major financial institutions like BlackRock have shown a strong interest in this plan. The increasing demand for digital currency investment products has essentially evidenced by a popularity of their Bitcoin ETFs further support this notion. Yes, there is actually a list of massive corporations holding Bitcoin ETFs, all according to their 13F filings. This is official documentations. So no more, essentially guessing who holds Bitcoin and who doesn't. We've seen the list now. But now this is when it gets interesting. As I said, if you tune in until the end of this live show, which everybody does from the CMF anyways, but I said at the end of the live show, I have some interesting news to go through. This is the interesting news. This is the interesting news at the end of the live show now. Well, we're getting close to the end of the live show, but this is a very interesting piece of news, which is from Bank of America. And yesterday I reviewed the Rothschild's family bank that has entered the crypto space regarding Bitcoin ETFs, and I left that to the end of the live show as well. And this one I said, I'll leave this one, the Bank of America news, to the end of the live show as well. And then after the Bank of America, we have one more news to go through, which is actually relatable to the Bank of America news in some sort of a way. But before we do that, let's go set a conversation just in case. Why put a good comment on Telegram for mothers and fathers? What? JP? Okay, here it is. Bank of America announced June will be a month to remember. Here is why. So according to Bank of America, June is going to be a month you will all remember. Bank of America, the BOFA analysts predicted that June will be an unforgettable month with important decisions expected from many central banks. This week has been a week full of surprises from central banks, with the Bank of Sweden cutting interest rates and the Bank of England expressing more confidence than previously expected that the inflation will move in the desired direction. It's true. Yesterday I revealed that the Bank of England actually did reveal that the UK's economy is doing a lot better. We've bounced back according to the Bank of England. Bank of Sweden said the exact same thing regarding interest rates are on the way. Now, this is what they said, word for word. We've got a glimpse. This comes from Bank of America. The Bank of America's analyst has said this, word for word. We've got a glimpse of what June will look like for the markets. When central banks will make important decisions, the BOFA, the Bank of America analyst, said, altogether, we may be entering one of the most important months for markets in a long time, where key decisions will be made for many central banks. This could be the June to remember. Despite the the BOE's structural division trend, the Bank of America's analyst still believes a wage increase will be a more stubborn one. The Bank of America analyst also said our call for first rate in August continues. Looking ahead, the Bank of America also said focus in Europe will be regarding the UK labour data coming out as well, June next week. They also expect the German ZEW indicator to continue improving in May and the first quarter of GDP for the Eurozones to provide further insights into the evolution of growth across the regions. So, according to Bank of America, major things are about to be on the way. Essentially, this month is the setup. June is going to be a month nobody will forget inside of the financial markets. So something major is going to be happening in June, and it has a relevance to a lot of central banks, all coming up with something very important. So June, this month, they said this month, Bank of America's analyst said this month, things are in motions and setups, which seem to be good setups so far, because they're talking about the Bank of England with their, bouncing back. All this, Sweden bouncing back, Germany bouncing back, the EU bouncing back, and they're getting ready this month. And then now they're saying, essentially, everybody's getting ready this month, everybody's bouncing back this month, and June, next month, is going to be a month that nobody essentially forgets about. That everybody will remember. Important things from all these centralized banks are coming in June, and this month, everything is in setup and motion. but it seems like it's a whiff of good news because they're talking about bounce backs of the Bank of England, the Bank of Sweden, the Bank of Germany, the EU. They're all bouncing back on their economies. So this month, everything is setting up and everybody's bouncing back. June, a month where nobody forgets in the financial sector. Now, the next news where I said could have some relevance, the drastic fall is over. Okay, the drastic fall is, because it's interesting because that news came out and then this news came out straight after it. The drastic fall is over. Bitcoin is slightly taking off again or balancing itself. Since its inception, Bitcoin has inspired a variety of emotions, fluctuating between fascination for its dizzying peaks and dismay during its steep declines. Recently, the crypto landscape has been marked by a notable event. The end of the post-halving danger zone. The end of the post-halving danger zone. A period traditionally categorized by increased volatility. As Bitcoin crosses the $60,000 threshold again, investors and observers wonder, are we witnessing a reassurance of its climb? Market dynamics and institutional market dynamics and institutions coming inside the play. Bitcoin has gone through a particularly turbulent phase after the last halving in April, an event that cut the mining rewards in half and directly affects the supply of new Bitcoins. Historically, this period leads to the price instability, which was confirmed by the significant retrace, with BTC hitting the a 2-monthly low of 56,500, which was a much of a low. The dip fueled a sense of caution among investors by previous crashes, which were a lot more worse. And the reason why we didn't have massive crashes that everybody inside the crypto space expected we're going to go to $20,000 Bitcoins and $25,000 Bitcoins, and it's not going to be possible to go to $25,000 Bitcoins or $20,000 Bitcoins. And I said this because these institutions are coming in and they're buying and holding. When you have too many institutions buying and holding, how can the Bitcoin price crash? Especially when the biggest holders are institutions now and governments. They're not selling, they're holding. When you buy and hold, it affects the game. That's why we never saw these $25,000 crashes that everybody was expecting inside the crypto space. Now, and I explain this as well. It's not rocket science, it's a bit basic. However, a change of direction is observed with the increasing presence of institutional players. Something I said a very long time ago. Speculating on strategic moves is not to let Bitcoin soar during market closures because of the institutions. Their manipulations, although controversial, have shaped the contours of the more mature market, where large entities aim to maximize their profits or stabilize the market through significant liquidity blocks, as observed. The recent price fluctuations, despite their abrupt nature, show notable support around $6,000, suggesting that Bitcoin may not be ready to give up on its gains yet. The persistence of this critical level indicates a possible accumulation, signaling to investors that the time for recovery might be near. Implications and the future of Bitcoin. The role of institutional entities and the price fluctuations indicate a growing maturity of the Bitcoin market. While this may mitigate the extreme volatility seen in earlier years, it also introduces a new dynamic, price movements, more calculated and less organic, more calculated. Okay, the reason why the price movements are more calculated is because institutions have disrupted the game. The reason why the charts aren't playing by historic timelines is because these institutions are coming in and buying in and holding. And because of their 13F filings that they sent to the SEC, we now know which institutions hold Bitcoin on paper. So no more speculating. Does, JP Morgan hold Bitcoin? Does Vanguard hold Bitcoin? Does Goldman Sachs hold Bitcoin? Does this company or that institution hold Bitcoin? Now we know. It's no more speculating. It's on their 13F filings. So that's why it's more calculated and less organic. It's only organic when the retail section is buying and selling, because we can't do calculated movements. The retail section can't do calculated movements because it's never calculated. It's scattered. Institutions are doing coordinated movements. That's why it's calculated, is what I've said for a very long time, because I'm from the corporate sector, so it's easy to tell their movements. As reported by Cointelegraph, as Bitcoin closes its danger zone period, savvy strategic and investors will closely observe to determine whether this stabilization is a prelude to a sustained raise or just a calm before further turbulence. Bitcoin's ability to maintain levels above 6,000 or around 6,000 will be crucial. The overall sentiment around cryptocurrency is often influenced by external factors such as regulations or macroeconomics, continues to play a determining role in the trajectory of Bitcoin. A positive perception could well catalyze a prolonged ascent, while negative signals could trigger further corrections. In conclusion, as Bitcoin's post-halving danger zone comes to an end, the market stands at a potential decisive crossroads between institutional manipulation and psychological support. Bitcoin appears to be carving its path through a complex and unpredictable landscape. As I said, we can't play by historic patterns because of the institutions. Unpredictable landscapes. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's core breaks the silence. So, with essentially, look, do you know what I said to everybody? I said part 2 is on the way. We're not that far off from part 2. The second part, I said you gotta have kahunas for second part. We're still technically in the bull run. We're not out of it yet in any sort of a way. We're just in a very manipulative style of bull run situation. Very manipulative because of the institutions. But now we know they're buying and they're holding, they're buying and they're holding. And as Shelley just pointed out in the comment section, facts. Nothing is a coincidence, Miles, as you always say. Facts. Let's go, Shelley. Honestly, everything is coordinated. And everything I said regarding coordination and how it's calculated and how it's, the retail section is scattered and so on is what they talked about right here. And then we have the Bank of America analysts essentially repeating some things I said as well. But also, June, crucial month. June is going to be a crucial month for central banks. And nobody's talking about that inside the crypto space. Now, before we do that, let me go inside the comment section just to see what's here. Why put... There we go. June end case plus stablecoin announcement. June end case plus stablecoin announcement is what Bill was saying. You never know. June could bring a lot of things. Nothing is a coincidence, Miles, as you always say. Facts. It's always coordinated. Any updates on LAT? So far, none. But there are updates on their websites. I'll check them out if there's any updates on them. The reason I said none, I don't know actually. Let me go and check about LAT if there are any updates before I say none. So there might be updates actually. When do you see the market going up, Miles? I know you say it will generally move. It will generally move up now, but when will you see big moves in your opinion? I think this month. This month. This year is going to be an interesting year, but moving from June onwards, it looks like it's going to be more interesting. Is it true the judge will make a decision 2 weeks after May 20th? It's not true. No, it's what I said. It's not. No. I said they should be making a decision 2 weeks after because there's not much to make a decision on. No, there's no time frame, but there's generally nothing. They have to make a decision on the case. Now, this is all we talked about on tonight's live show, just in case you tuned in late. So this is what we talked about on tonight's live show. We talked about the drastic fall is over regarding Bitcoin and its danger zone area. We talked about the Bank of America analyst talking about how June is going to be a crucial month, and this month is when everything is getting set up by the central banks in a good way, and that June is going to be an interesting month to look out for regarding all the central banks coming in together because every economy is bouncing back this month. And then we talked about how BlackRock might be controlling the game, and then we talked about Rich Dad Poor Dad and his moronic opinions, and then we talked about tonight's live show regarding Franklin Templeton and their words of how they're going to be a frontier. Franklin Templeton, $1.6 trillion asset management firm, wants to become a frontier in blockchain and AI. And they talked highly of tokenization, ETFs, blockchain, AI. They want to be a frontier. And these are all the things the CEO said at a major global conference in California. And then we talked about on tonight's live show regarding the US Congress, how they're pushing crypto regulatory clarity. And then we talked about on tonight's live show regarding Ripple's CEO, Brad, how he predicts the SEC is going to be losing in the long run, and these are just speed bumps on the way. And then we talked in general, not just the Ripple case, but in general. And then we talked about Trump and how Trump basically said, according to him or according to David Bailey, that day one, Trump is going to be putting crypto policies in if he becomes president of the United States. Day one, apparently. And then we talked about another Bitcoin earthquake in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong, you can actually use your Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs as collateral to borrow against and pay off your mortgages and loans. You can't do that in the West so far. And then we talked about on tonight's live show regarding CBDCs and how, there are actually rules inside, for example, the United States that can stifle you. And you actually genuinely have no financial freedom inside the United States. There are laws in place inside the United States to stop you from financial freedom, even if you go against it. It's funny because, I read out the law results. If anybody wants to go and check it out again regarding the US codes. So the US code, Title 12, Chapter 35, Section 3413 and Section 3414. There are about 20 plus different exceptions that allow the government to effectively ignore your rights to financial privacy. The financial privacy. There are actually laws in place inside the United States to. There are laws in other jurisdictions as well. I'm very aware of that. Aware of that, but I don't know the exact part of where this law was inside the United States. And now we know it's Title 12, Chapter 35, Section 3413 and Section 3414 of the US codes. It actually states about 20 plus regulations where the government has the right to ignore you completely regarding your financial privacy inside the United States. And then we talked about some other CBDC and essentially ventures that's going to be happening. And then we talked about Dan Moorhead, the hedge fund Pantera Capital CEO, how he said that the largest investment can bring crypto to the world, and he's going to be making major investments. Mostly he's headed towards TON, the crypto project, because it already has that 900 million user base from Telegram regarding TON. And then we talked about the Bank of International Settlements, the Wall Street, and how their play is going to be regarding institutional adoption. And then we talked about on tonight's live show regarding Southeast Asia and how a lot of investments are going to be going towards Southeast Asia. Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, they're all investing into Singapore right now. And they're bringing heavy investments down. One of the biggest investments they're bringing down is about $60 billion. $60 billion is about to be invested. That's just one of the investments that's about to be invested in Singapore regarding blockchain and AI. Mostly AI, but amazing. And I said, you should maybe be looking out for projects within Singapore that are AI related as well, could do well for themselves. And also then we talked about Sam Altman on tonight's live show as well. Sam Altman, essentially the founder of ChatGPT, and essentially him talking about his other project, WorldCoin, where you scan your eye and you sell your data for some WorldCoin tokens. And Sam Altman essentially talking about how ChatGPT 7, so right now we're at ChatGPT 4, and then we get to ChatGPT 5, 6, and then ChatGPT 7 is pretty much when everybody loses their job, is what Sam Altman was talking about. So we're at ChatGPT 4, we're not that far off. 5, 6, 7, everybody loses their job. And he said that you can essentially, he's talking about how everybody should have a slice of the pie when it comes to AI. So if you do lose your job to AI, at least you can get paid out by the robot that's doing your job. But I think only if you're invested into ChatGPT. So you can invest into ChatGPT and get paid out by the robot that you lost your job to. So, ChatGPT 7 is going to be, essentially taking over a lot of people's jobs. If you're a lawyer, you're most likely going to be losing your job. Accountant, losing your job. A lot of people are going to be losing their job. Anything to do with documentations, AI could, hinder that in 5 seconds. So, and by ChatGPT 7, obviously they're going to be very advanced. The ChatGPT 4 has its issues, but ChatGPT 5 will get better, 6 will get better, 7 obviously will be very advanced. So that's when everybody loses their jobs. You want to know a timeline of where most people will be losing their jobs? ChatGPT 7. That's what we talked about tonight's live show. We talked about market movements, we talked about Bank of International Settlements, we talked about AI, but the most important news, Bank of America. Bank of America. June. This month, a lot of things are happening. June, a lot of things are happening regarding central banks. This month, every economy is pretty much bouncing back. And June, big things apparently coming from centralized banks. We're talking about CBDCs, or we talking about launches, or we talking about regulations, or we talk about Ripple case maybe because it has relevance to CBDCs. Let's see. But yeah, and we also talked about Bitcoin, getting away from the danger zone, and Bitcoin didn't spiral down as everybody thought it was going to do, going to 25,000 or someone, and it hasn't went there at all. Mostly because they're buying and holding regarding institutions. So we have reached the endings of this live show on tonight on the CMF live show. But before we end, let's go inside the comment section just in case anyone's got any questions left. When do you see the market? Yep, I said that already. Is it true that the June will make decision? No, I already said that as well. It's mind-blowing, Miles, the way that it's all being planned for a year, and it's all falling into place. Wow, incredible. Let's go, Ian. Facts. Take care, Miles and family. Also, happy Mother's Day to Miles' mother and all mothers in the CMF. Let's go, Ray. Thank you so much for that, bro. And see you tomorrow. Sometimes usual. Pilots also lose their jobs. Pilots, yes. But what exactly going to happen with the Bank of America in June? They didn't say, but they said this month. So they did indicate what might be on the verge. So Bank of America said this month, the Bank of the UK, the Bank of England, the Bank of Sweden, the Bank of Germany, and in general, the EU has bounced back. The economy has bounced back this month. They talked about it. And then they said June, something is going to happen with the centralized banks and the financial markets. So they said the banks are bouncing back, the economies are bouncing back this month. Next month, major things are on the way. So there's relevance to it. That's the relevance to it. But yeah, good night, Miles and family. Brilliant live. Have a good one. Shout out to all the mothers on here. Much love and respect. Let's go, Ian. See you tomorrow, but sometimes usual as well. Is XRP involved in that news, you think? Possibility, because CBDCs, centralized banks, there's all relevance there. Thank you, Miles, and good night. See you tomorrow. Mike, see you tomorrow, but sometimes usual. Thank you so much. Susie, no problem. Let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Good night, Miles and CMF. Happy Mother's Day. Let's go, Orphan. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. What do you think it is about the Bank of America in June? We know the relevance has something to do with centralized banks and the financial markets, so it could have relevance to Ripple as well. You never know. You never know, seriously, because it has relevance to CBDCs. Because centralized banks news, and its economy is bouncing back. Does that mean the market is going to go 360 again? That's what we're going to know. But we'll probably get a better idea as the days go by as well. I'll keep everybody obviously posted and updated about the Bank of America indications, 100%. Good night, brother, and CMF. Bill, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. I will see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. By the way, if you're watching this for the first time ever and you enjoyed this live show, you can tune in every single night on X Live if you're watching on X, or on YouTube Live if you're watching on YouTube, and tune into it every single night. We talk about cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, and politics, because it all plays in together, and we do Q&As as well, which means if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And everything I do is completely free, so don't worry about it. And if you enjoyed this live, drop a follow, drop a like. I'll see everybody tomorrow. CMF, honestly, thank you so much to every single one of you that tunes in every single night, taps on the screen on X and on YouTube. And thank you so much to everyone that retweeted this live show as well. And happy Mother's Day to everyone as well. And I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. CMF, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. Good night, brother. And CMF, Bill, let's go. Thanks, Miles. Shelly, let's go. Shelly, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Troy, good night, Miles and family. Troy, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Bye. Olifit, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Thank you, Miles, for all the info and help. God bless. Kim, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Nearly there, Miles. 9.1 on YouTube. Thank you. Shelly, thank you so much for the update. Let's go. Thanks so much to everyone that's subscribing to me on YouTube as well. I will see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. And Shelly, thank you so much for the update as well regarding YouTube subscribers. Let's go. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night. Denise, good night. See you tomorrow, same time as usual as well.